presented by Exquisite Timepieces. More about them in the description down below and later in the video. This is the Zodiac Super Seawolf Pro Diver, and I'm going to be honest, when it comes to the styling, these colors are most certainly not for me. I've got a couple of the colorway options here, including the Sunray Silver dial with orange bezel and blue chapter ring, and this watermelon model with its in-your-face green bezel. And yeah, I hate to say it, but I think these colors are absolutely ridiculous. However, I know some people will like them, and after learning a thing or two about these watches, I've come to realize that they are absolutely amazing when it comes to the features and the specifications. So despite not personally liking the aesthetics, I really want to review them because I think that they are so good that they need to be shared. So right off the bat, what is it about these Zodiac watches that has impressed me so much? Well, a bunch of things, but the two major points are that they are full-fledged ISO certified dive watches, and they run COSC certified automatic movements. There's a lot more, which I will get into, but I have to say that for my money, getting both of those features makes these watches top pick sports watches in my book. Of course, the rest of the features and the specs on top of that round out what is already a superb timepiece, and those features include a K1 crystal capped elapsed time bezel that is fully illuminated for low light legibility, a brush finished 316L stainless steel case, and a 7-piece link bracelet with a dual trigger deployant butterfly folding clasp, 300 meters of water resistance with a Zodiac signed screw down crown, and a sapphire crystal covering the dial and the handset. Now everything on this watch is really well done. From the fit and finish on the case, the bracelet, the bezel, the dial, and even the handset. And it has a feel of a premium timepiece, but it comes in at a fairly reasonable price of $1,695 MSRP. And look, I know that that's not an ultra affordable sub $1,000 watch. And yes, there are plenty of great watches at lower prices. But I am hard pressed to think of anything that I would pick over something like this, given how well put together it is. As far as the size and the scale of this watch, it does come in at 42 millimeters in diameter with an overall thickness of about 14 millimeters. It is 20 millimeters between the lugs, and it has a lug-to-lug length of 50 millimeters. Now, those dimensions are probably the only other negative that I have with the watch, but like the colors, it is a subjective complaint. It is a bit larger than I'd prefer. I'd have liked it better if it was something like 40 millimeters with a lug-to-lug length coming in under 48 millimeters, if I had the choice. For me, those are perfect dimensions for a dive watch when it comes to my wrist. That said, on my 6.5-inch wrist, this does feel a bit smaller than I had expected given those measurements. It doesn't feel like a 14 millimeter thick watch with a 50 millimeter lug-to-lug length when I put it on. And the 7-piece link bracelet drapes over my wrist so nicely that I really can't say enough good things about that. The bracelet feels fantastic and it looks outstanding as well. Now, as previously mentioned, the watch case has a fully satin brushed finish, and the finishing punches well above its weight class. It is done really well, and while the bracelet finish matches up nicely, it adds just a bit of flash with alternating high-polished surfaces on the center rows of the links. That said, I know a lot of people don't like having center links on bracelets that are high-polished, but this is really not overdone. It's just a little bit of polishing, and I think it really works. The Zodiac signed deployant clasp is milled stainless steel, and it has a tight and it has a secure lockup that feels pretty reassuring when you fasten it closed, and it finishes off the premium feel of this watch. The screw-down crown is shrouded by crown guards at the 3 o'clock side of the case, and it has a nice size, and the texturing is pretty good, making it fairly easy to access and manipulate. Now, it's not the best crown that I've ever seen. It doesn't feel like a crown on something like, I don't know, a Rolex or an Omega, but it feels really good nonetheless, and it more than meets my expectations given the price. Now, the same can kind of be said about the unidirectional elapsed time bezel. The K1 crystal cap is fantastic, but the clicking action is a little bit on the stiff side when it comes to setting the bezel. It doesn't quite compare to those high-end luxury divers, but the edge texture is quite good, and it really isn't a disappointment. Another thing that's really cool about these watches is the lume. The bezels are fully lumed and they look awesome in low light. On the orange bezeled version, the silver Sunray dial is also fully lumed, and that was a bit of a surprise the first time I checked it out in low light. Zodiac definitely went the extra mile on the lume with these watches, and it's another top-notch feature. The dials themselves and the handsets are really well done as well. The handsets have a colored minute hand with polished hour hands, and the applied markers are inset into the chapter rings, making for some cool depth and dimension when you look at the dials up close under macro. One other final interesting point about the Zodiac Super Seawolf divers that I need to illustrate is that they are made in small batch processes. Now, they're not limited edition watches, but they can be hard to find at times because each watch is hand assembled in Switzerland, and once a batch is finished and it's sold, there aren't any more until the watchmaker starts a new batch. Now, I'm not exactly sure how many pieces per batch are made. Maybe it's 500, maybe it's 5,000. I don't really know. But in looking at Zodiac's website, most of the variations are currently sold out. So it would seem that they are in between batches right now, and it's probably hard to say when they're going to be available again. Now, fortunately, my channel sponsor, Exquisite Timepieces, does have a handful of these in stock, so if you're interested in one, I do highly recommend giving them a call before it's too late. Make sure you let the guys over there know that you saw my video if you reach out to them, and I am sure they will take the absolute best care of you. This video is presented in partnership with Exquisite Timepieces, located in Naples, Florida. Exquisite is an authorized dealer of dozens of watch brands, including Seiko and Grand Seiko, Omega, Oris, Blancpain, Breguet, and many more. Exquisite also has an amazing selection of pre-owned watches with new inventory coming in daily. So if you're looking for your next watch, check their website, exquisitettimepieces.com, or call their store at 239-227-2932, and let them know that you heard about them from Guy in the Just Bluefish channel. I can't recommend them enough.